And one book that we were talking about earlier in the pre-chat that I want to make sure that we just mention is the Magdalene manuscripts.
Yes.
So for like 10 months, like part of my awakening here, in addition to meeting Layla and Regina and Adam, is that Adam would read me bedtime stories. Because again, we weren't in the same town and a lot of circumstances, but I couldn't really talk out loud. So I had headphones in and he would read in my ear and he would read me chapters from the Magdalene manuscripts every night. And I would fall asleep like within minutes. So this is just going into some like mystery part of my brain. Like I couldn't actually tell you what the book is about, but it seems that the codes got installed because they actually like teach you, like she's teaching, like in the book, the practices that she taught to Yeshua, AKA Jesus. And it's a total reframing of this archetype that we've been taught as the whore, as the slut, as the prostitute. And it's a reframing that actually she was like a disciple of and an avatar of Isis, this Egyptian goddess of sex magic and femininity. And she was a very, very powerful like tantrika.
Not the terrorist group. The goddess,
not the terrorist group, but Isis, the Egyptian goddess. And so Mary Magdalene had ties to Isis and knew these like powers and had gained these like beautiful, powerful tools. And she was a powerful tantrika, and she was teaching these tools to Yeshua. And that, you know, so now, and look, one fable is just as believable as the other, in my opinion, but that he was able to resurrect, like he was able to come out of the cave because of the life building and, you know, life force generating tools that he learned from Mary Magdalene. So it's very fascinating reframe.
There's so much I want to say about this because I think that, because death, we are so insanely afraid as a society about death. And I think that that's what you're kind of touching on is maybe that, and I ordered the book on Amazon. It's coming tomorrow. So I will be texting you my thoughts and I'll be giving you summaries because I can't wait to read it. But I think that there's something there. You said le petit mort, the little death in French, for the word for orgasm. And there's something about, there is a little part of you that's maybe, or, you know, especially if you're using orgasm and at least, you know, let's say self-pleasuring and masturbation, there's something that is born every time that you climax, and there's something that dies, you know, I was kind of describing very poorly about how I sort of clean the blocks, you know, as I'm kind of, you know, trying to get something to rise, but that's part of it. It's like, I'm trying to kill this old story that I have. I'm trying to kill the tethering that I have to this idea that, you know, in the case of the house, I'm not worthy of having this beautiful house. What are my parents going to think, or, you know, whatever. I think that there's birth and death.
That's fascinating. I've never thought about that. I've definitely thought about, well, every time something is created, I'd never thought about every time something dies. So thanks for that introduction. That feels cool to think about. And I love the idea of doing the cleaning inside of it. I will say on the, like, every time something is created, it's like, you know, sex at its like old school, most pure. It's like, oh, well, you sex is for procreation, right? It's a man and a woman, and we inseminate and we make a baby, and that's the point. Right. And thank God, thank goddess, every time people have sex, a baby is not created, because it'd be very crowded and we would have already been extinct on planet Earth. And yet every time you orgasm, every time you climax, something is birthed, something is created. And so the question is, what are you creating with that? Mm-hmm. And so even for like, if you never want to do any self practices, if this is the only thing you ever dance with these tools and practices, why not next time you orgasm, or even every time you orgasm afterwards, just pray, right? That's what I call it. It's like, let's pray. And then you're just imagining the things that you would love to magnetize in that beautiful sacred time. It can be that simple.
So well said. Let's come back to Mary Magdalene for just a moment, because she's a very interesting character. I was saying this to you in the pre-chat, she was a whore, she was a slut, and the reason, like, she was following, you know, Jesus as he was going to be crucified, and she had the towel and his imprint of his face is in this towel. She was trying to have some sort of repention for the plethora of sins, let's say. And if it wasn't for, we have to give some reverence to some of the priests at the time, because we had the church kind of coming in at the time. They wanted to unify, let's say paganism, and they wanted to introduce, Christianity and like this system for people to follow. And I think in order for there to be buy-in, they had to really control this narrative around who she was. She was called the slut. She was called the whore, but she was actually the apostle to the apostles. She was, and then as you were talking about this book that I've ordered on Amazon, there is also speculation that she was his tantric lover, teacher, preparing him for the afterlife. And I think you still see that kind of language, and which this is where I think a lot of the hangups that women have. We still see like, oh, there's the, you're driving, let's say downtown on let's say 9 a.m. on a Saturday, and you see a woman walking in a dress. Oh, there's the walk of shame. It's like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Where's the guy? Like the guy's also in the same, like he's in the same clothes.
And
right?
why should anyone feel shame?
Right. Why should anyone? Yes, I get so angry at that. It's like, I hate that term, walk of shame. I hate it. The slut shaming garbage. It's like, she probably had a great night. And so did he, or she, or they, or whatever.
Had a great night.
Yeah. And can we just leave it at that? Why are we judging her? Right. And it's always, I remember when I have two sons that I've birthed, and then one that I've adopted through my marriage with Gio. I remember when my two sons were birthed, someone said to me, doesn't matter who, when you have a boy, what did they say? And I, in my head, I was like, just shut your mouth. You had a child. Don't say anything, like you're a new mother. But they said to me, when you have a boy, you worry about one penis, essentially. I'll just make it PG. But when you have a girl, you worry about them all. And I was like, what? What are we like, right? Like I have a newborn child. I'm not thinking about his sexual future. He's certainly not thinking about his sexual future. What kind of wisdom is that?
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Like you just think about one penis.
So big.
That's not the word that was used. You think about one penis, but when you have a girl, you think about them all. You worry about them all.
Wow.
It's like, I don't know, man. I don't know about this. And then you also see like these, one more thing I want you to, I can see you have something to say there. But the other thing is that when you are postpartum in some churches and in some religions, you're not, and even when you're bleeding, when you're on your period, you're not allowed in. You're not allowed in to the temple, the church, the place of worship. When we went to Italy in the Vatican City, I almost didn't get in because they thought my summer dress was too short. Like it didn't cover my knees. I was like, what are we going to do? I'm going to insult the Pope. Like I'm just going to see like the beautiful, whatever. And this is like, I'm Catholic, so I feel like I can comment on that. But I was like, what the fuck are we talking about? My summer dress is hitting above my knee. You're not going to let me in because it's not below my knee. Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah. What world are we talking about?
Yeah.
So fascinating. Like, that whole gender thing is the same. Like I have a boy, at least for now, he's a boy. And when we were like pregnant and sort of talking into that, I would hear like different verbiage, different worries, different things of like, oh, if it's a girl, this, and if it's a boy, this. And look, I get that like pregnancy is real. And like, especially in a world where women don't have access to healthcare and abortion, like these are real concerns of like, oh, if you get involuntarily impregnated, like this is a concern that someone that does not have a womb will not have to face. Okay. And so like that part I get. And yet there's so many other layers of, like you said, slut shaming. And this is why I think it's such radical work that Regina has been doing for so many years of just empowering women to reclaim their pleasure and to use their pleasure for good and to lift each other up. Like it truly can be a radical act it can be a radical act if someone's been trying to divorce you from it. And, if you see like, look at people's actual faces when they're orgasming, it's sort of wild and wide-eyed and sometimes open mouth. And it much more looks like Kali or Durga, or at least like wild, animalistic almost faces.
I don't know what those words mean.
Kali, Kali. She's the like the Vedic goddess of destruction, like death and destruction, actually.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Durga is sort of the mother. She's also, but like Durga is like your mom when she's like, don't put your hand in the socket. Do not put your hand in the socket. And then Kali comes out when you put your hand in the socket, and she's like, I told you not to. It's this sort of like wild, like her tongue is out. She has like a skirt of limbs, of like arms. Like she's a destructress. And she's wild. But when you see people in orgasm, like their faces look more like that than what we've perceived as like porn or like Mother Mary. And so it's just interesting to see how we even portray like what is that ecstatic state and how wild it can be, because that I think is the thing that has been tried to, that people have been trying to control and shut down.
And when you love yourself, you are not controllable. No one can fuck with you. Pardon my French. We've been talking a lot of French today, but when you love yourself, when you have reverence for your body, you are untouchable. No marketer is going to be able to tell you that you need X drug, you need X bag, you need, whatever, this external thing to create internal happiness, because you've already created that. You are filled to the brim, and the cuppeth overfloweth with love for yourself. Right.
Yeah.
Like that's, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you're interested in control and marketing, right? Because like there's billions of dollars of industries built on top of ensuring that like you stay in the I'll be happy when syndrome.
Yeah.
I'll be happy when I have the cream, the Botox, the partner, the whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.